In a time and place when you can work on yourself from anywhere.
Two ladies in their mid to late 27s have decided to.
And they're calling it workationing.
Your Gringas have learned some harsh truths on the road.
And in life, and in reading stats online.
And they're not super happy with the reality they've been faced with.
Or how much time and money we have to spend on our faces.
Weight, income potential, age, dating, and alcohol. It's all covered.
This is the Workationing Podcast. Hey, Kel.
What's up, girl?
How suicidal are you feeling right now?
Just like a little.
Just a little bit?
Just want to drown myself a little bit.
We'll hold each other down in the bathtub.
I'll hold your head if you hold mine.
So we researched some stats for this episode. God, that was rough.
It was rough. We knew these things to be true. We did not think it would be difficult to find these stats. Kari and I, over the last few months, have had some pretty harsh realizations. I know we've started to share those with you guys.
Yeah.
There are some that have been particularly bitter on the tongue.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Some bad medicine. I don't like it.
Yeah, in the process of trying to live more intentionally, we've gotten really real with ourselves about our lives and our health and just the state of things. And if you want to get from point A to point B, how do you get there? What are the obstacles that might be in your way?
Mm-hmm.
And there are some things that I think we always kind of knew, but weren't really super willing to look at. We've started looking at them.
Listen, you don't want to research these numbers, ladies in particular. Guys,
No.
You've got some shit to be ashamed of over there.
I'm looking at you, dudes.
Oh, we thought Greg was bad in Medellin.
Greg.
I mean, Greg's not alone. You don't
No.
have to go to Colombia to be a real creeper.
No. So here's what it comes down to, is that there are things that ladies, I think, know to be true. It's coded into our society and into our culture. And we talk about it a little bit here and there. But the truth is like when you're talking with your friends, I don't know that people are always honest about like the extent to which these things are true.
No.
And as we've talked about before, I think it's important for friends to be honest with each other, to give that feedback so that everybody can stay on the right track.
Right. And so what we have found is that very rarely, especially when dealing with tough subject matter, will your friends really be honest with you?
Because they don't want to hurt your feelings and they don't want you to feel sad. And so like laying a harsh truth on somebody is...
Looks like you gained 10 pounds in the last month. What's going on over there?
Right. Nobody wants to have that conversation.
Nobody says that.
And so we're your friends.
We're gonna bring some harsh truths.
We're going to tell you guys some things that you probably already know.
But you know what also really pisses me off? It's not just that friends don't want to be honest. I think friends do want to be honest with you, but they're not quite sure how to go about it or how the information is going to be taken, particularly around like weight, for example.
Right.
Alcohol consumption.
Right.
Is another real like, do you
messy
really...
dating habits.
Oh God, let's not talk about that. Anything but that. And all of that is still true and still irritates me. And it's something that I have decided to work on in myself and in my friendships is some, not necessarily harsh honesty, but just real honesty from a place of caring.
Yeah, and it's stuff that I kind of wish people had said to me.
Right. But a lot of this stuff that we're about to go over with you guys, and I promise we're going to get into it real quick, it's always presented as kind of optional. So we're going to talk about makeup. But you know, ladies, you don't have to put on makeup. You don't have to spend all that money and time doing your makeup, except for that you do.
Girl power.
Turns out, girl power is putting your face in full drag every day and taking it to an office. So let's get into it. Kelly and I have looked up some stats on some things that we have noticed and issues that maybe we have struggled with or that we see that our friends are struggling with. And, let's start with how you look matters.
That one sucks. Because I personally, a while ago, was just kind of like, fuck it. I have a sparkling personality.
I'm smart.
I am a very smart girl.
I drive a nice car.
Yeah, and what do I need to put makeup on for every day? That takes a lot of time. I've seen through the bullshit. I don't need to put that shit on my face. I don't need to take all the time to do that. I don't really need to worry about it because you know what? Like, I am a strong and capable woman. And I don't need to buy into that bullshit.
You do not. In 2010, I started my company, The Content Factory, and we all work from home. I have always worked from home ever since I started TCF. And I thought that I had really unlocked a secret code, like a secret level in the game of life, and that you get to skip the commute, you get to skip the Spanx.
Right, girl.
You don't have to do your hair and makeup. Girl, you just go sit in front of your computer for 10 hours a day, type, and you'll be judged by the quality of your work, by the timeliness of it, and not what the hell you look like when you turn it in. I like that, personally.
No, it's great. I totally love it. But I see how not caring as much about the way that I look, I think I went a little too far with it.
You know, I started to get a little homony myself. So, flashback to the Medellin episodes of the podcast. Jamon Serrano, we learned, is not just a meat you can eat. A jamon serrano is what the Colombian people like to call a woman of a certain age who has not been married yet. And that certain age is about 23.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you are, say, a 24-year-old single lady living in Medellin, Colombia, you might be called a jamon serrano. And what a jamon serrano is an old, salty, dried out, hanging ham in a shop window, just hoping that somebody's going to buy it, probably on sale at this point.
Right.
Probably maybe on clearance. When she hits like 27 and when she hits her real 27s.
Right.
And hopefully somebody's going to get her. But in the meantime, she's called Jamon Serrano because she's just not as fresh.
Well, and here's the thing about that is that I don't ever want to say to any woman ever that you have to be any particular thing or that your life should be in any way about catching a man.
No.
Or what anyone else thinks about you or any of that.
No, your life should be about serving yourself. And you and I are both unabashed feminists.
Right. And so, you know, we're not, that's not the path we're going down here. What we're trying to say is that we're going to present you with some facts about how the way you look affects real things in your life, affects the things you care about, affects your bottom line.
I did not make these up.
No.
I don't like these facts any more than you're going to like them.
And so everyone has the option to opt out in any way that they would like to. And girl, I will cheer you on. But like, just know when I think a lot of times when people make these decisions, they're not really factoring in just the dollars and cents of what those decisions mean. It kind of becomes a non-decision. It's just a default.
Right.
And so this is we're all about living intentionally and creating your life in an intentional way. So like, let's talk about what it really means. And so let's start with, we looked up some stats on weight.
Weight and salary. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. This is a rough one.
Then nobody wants to hear this.
Okay, well, I think the guys might. All right, so ladies, if you are 70 pounds under the average. Now, in America, the average size is a size 16. I don't know exactly what that weight looks like. It probably is a little bit different depending on your height. So listen, ladies, if you are 70 pounds under the average weight, you're going to make $62,500 per year on average.
Yep.
If you're 30 pounds under the average, you make, on average, $49,000 a year. If you are the average weight, you make $40,000 a year. By contrast, if you're a man and you're the average weight, you make $52,500 per year. And we'll get into the guy stats, but I just wanted to pull the average out for comparison. Going back, if you are 30 pounds over the average, you make, on average, $32,500 a year. And if you are 70 pounds over average, if you're a bigger girl, you're making $21,500 per year on average. And all of these stats came from Pay Scale. Beauty and salary, how does employee attractiveness affect lifetime pay, is the title of this study.
No, and that's really fucking harsh to look at because what you see is that your weight really does affect how much you make. And granted, that's not to say that like if you weigh a little more that you can't make more, or that you can't figure it out or whatever.
That you can't go to Harvard, you can't become a doctor, you can level up other skills, but understand that from the jump, you're going to be farther behind your male counterparts, at least, if you're overweight.
Yeah, you will make a third. If you are 70 pounds overweight, you will make a third of what your counterpart at 70 pounds underweight would make.
Isn't that nice?
It sucks. Mm-hmm. So it's easy to let those pounds creep on and to be like, well, you know what? I'm great. I'm a good person. I've got family and friends that love me. You know, I'm probably still getting laid because let me tell you, I got real big and I never had trouble getting laid. Sex is just, as a woman, sex is very much available if you would like it.
Relationships, not so much, but we'll get into that later.
I never had a problem getting relationships either. It depends on...
Your mileage may vary. Your mileage may vary with this as well. These are statistical averages, right?
Right. But you let those pounds creep on, and it just seems easy to be like, well, you know what? I'm great, and fuck it. I'm smart. I'm capable. I'm a good person. I've got good family and friends, and I'm happy, and I don't care. But maybe you would care if you knew
what the opportunity cost of that weight was.
Right.
And so, do you want to talk about the men?
Yeah.
I can't even. So, how about you take that?
So, interestingly, with men, it's actually the reverse. If a man who is 70 pounds underweight is going to average $35,000 a year, and then I won't go through all of them because I think you get the idea. If he's 70 pounds overweight, over the average, then he's going to be at $67,500 a year. So a man, the bigger a man is in general, he tends to make more money. And as Kari pointed out, though, at every single point along the scale, the men average more money than women.
Yes. At every point, men not only make more money, the more they weigh on average, they make more money at every price or at every weight point.
Yeah, it's rough. So dudes, like, just being bigger and bigger actually makes me think of, there was this gentleman that I was seeing I went on like 2 dates with in New Hampshire when we were passing through. And he was a really interesting guy. He was already retired from a major political organization. I'll leave it at that. And in an extremely important position. And he was only 34 years old. And was still doing like consulting and working on this high level with like government officials and that sort of thing. And what was so interesting about him was that he had gigantism. And like,
you don't see that every day in the woods of New Hampshire.
You sure don't.
This is where you found Bigfoot.
Right. Right. And he was a real good looking guy, but you could tell that it was starting to turn the corner. You know what I mean? Like, it was...
The gigantism was starting to get the better of him?
Yeah, yeah. But what was so interesting is that I talked to him a lot about his career, and he actually had studied women's studies in college.
I know you liked that.
I did like that. And he wrote his whole, like, honors thesis, which I skimmed through over sushi one night, which was all about Eminem and like masculinity. And so he was someone who was clearly very aware of the trappings of masculinity and what it means and where it comes from. He had really studied all of that. But by the time he was 24, he went off and became an aid worker. And by the time he was 24, he was managing literally hundreds of people. And he told me that it just, at every point along the way, when people were looking around for like who's in charge, he was, because of his gigantism, as the way it manifests when you're younger, is he was just very, very tall, very, very broad, muscly, and like his voice was very deep. He just looked like he was in charge. And so they just kept putting him in charge until he was the head intelligence analyst for one of the biggest organizations on the planet in his 20s. And it's just like, you see how much that, just the way that you look.
Well, when you look like you have authority, people want to give you more.
Right. And people are like, well, you look like everyone's dad. You know what I mean?
Like, boss these people around for a while.
You're picking man. You look like you're in charge around here. And I'm beginning to realize how much of getting power and influence in life just has to do with, do you look like you're in charge around here?
Yeah, do you look the part?
Right.
Dress for the job you want to have. You can't do that if you don't have gigantism in your 20s, apparently. We can't all be blessed with that. You know?
For a lady, I don't think that would go the same way.
I don't think so. No.
But for him, it didn't. I found that extremely interesting.
So maybe we should talk about makeup, because we also found some interesting stats about makeup. And specifically what this studied was 3 types of makeup application. No makeup, natural makeup, and glamorous makeup, or as I like to call it, going full drag.
Full on drag.
Full drag today. And across the board, you would think that the natural, wouldn't you say? I was expecting the natural.
Yeah, because here's what happened. So this is a study where they showed people pictures for like a couple of seconds of different women who had either no makeup, they had natural makeup, or like full drag. And then they asked them to rate these women on
competence, likability, attractiveness, and trustworthiness.
Yeah. And so I would have thought natural would have come ahead in a couple of them. Probably like likability.
Right.
And competence. I would have thought In fact, I on purpose have always gone more natural with my makeup, just because I've always thought that there's almost like some kind of weird stigma around like wearing too much makeup.
You don't want to look too tarted up.
Well, and here's because you're a lady, you're supposed to look good, but you're not supposed to look like you fucking tried.
No,
I woke up like this. You don't want to see what I look up like.
Maybe she's born with it.
She's not.
No, she's not.
But interestingly, on every single one of those 4 metrics, the women with the full drag were rated the
glamorous
highest,
makeup,
including on things like confidence and trustworthiness.
I would have thought that the natural makeup would get the highest marks on trustworthiness, at least. Not the case. So ladies, if you think that by maybe going a little light on the makeup, you're going to be perceived better, or maybe just no makeup,
right?
You know, there's an opportunity cost for that. Now listen, either way you're screwed, because you see how long it takes me to go full drag.
Right.
It takes me what, like 45 minutes?
Well, it takes you longer. I get a little bit of a break because my hair is like a wash and wear.
Oh, I'm not even talking about hair. Girl.
Right. Well, and it takes you longer, but you're better at it than I am. I need to get better at my makeup.
You just need to practice some more.
I don't know what to do with it. I just slap some on there and I'm like, am I done?
No.
My makeup routine before I started really looking at this stuff, I would buy expensive makeup. And I wouldn't wear it a ton, but when I would wear it, it would take me probably a full 3.5 minutes to apply everything.
I wish the listeners could see my face right now.
No, she's horrified. Horrified.
3 minutes? Are you kidding me?
Right. You're like, is that just lipstick or
like one coat of mascara?
No, because I was just like, psh, done. You know, because I thought natural was fine, but no, it's rough.
If you want to be perceived as being competent, likable, attractive, and trustworthy, you really want to go full drag.
Right. And you know what? It doesn't make you those things. It doesn't make you any of those things.
It doesn't change anything. It just changes how you're perceived. And isn't perception reality?
Unfortunately, it is. And once this is another one of those situations, we're like, listen, girl, if you don't want to, girl, you do not have to. But just know what the opportunity cost of that is.
No, and you know what? Guys have consistently told me that natural makeup or, you know, I would just really prefer a girl who doesn't wear makeup. Do you?
No, they do not. Dudes are full of shit. It's because they don't understand makeup. Maybe this is a bad analogy. You know what? I think it's a good analogy. As a white lady, I'm always afraid to talk about black hair because I feel like it's like taboo. It's not like we're not supposed to talk about it.
Right.
But I will tell you that as a little white girl growing up in Iowa, there would be some girls, and by some I mean 2 in the whole school, but the black girls, I was always just fucking riveted by their hair because sometimes it would be different lengths. And sometimes it was braids, and sometimes it was beads, and sometimes it was down their back, and sometimes it was a bob, and sometimes it was and I could not understand how this witchery was occurring, and somehow it never really even occurred to me that it was fake hair because it looked real to me. Mm-hmm. I think it's the same with dudes. I think it's that they don't have experience with it. It's not so they don't know, and they're so used to seeing it that I think that all kinds of shit looks natural to guys that isn't, you know?
I think that that's fair.
I don't think they know.
Well, let's talk about why, ladies, we might want to pretty our faces up some more. So that's just makeup. What we are discussing right now is just the makeup aspect of putting yourself together. And certainly there's a cost to that makeup, and we're going to talk about that. But first, let's talk about what the makeup gets you. I also want to talk about what it looks like when you're just naturally prettier.
Yeah.
Some people are better looking than others.
Yeah. It's a harsh
truth.
Right?
Nobody's ever going to call you ugly to your face. Probably.
No, they're not. And if anything, I feel like in our culture, we've gotten to this place where we kind of just, there's this brand of feminism that I really have an issue with that I feel like just really infantilizes women because it's just like, well, everyone's beautiful. Like, are they though? Like look me in the eye and tell me that everybody's beautiful. No, they're not. And that should be okay. I would love to engage more with a kind of feminism that says, okay, so you're not beautiful, but you've
got other things going for you.
Right. You know, but we are like, there's this whole like, oh, well, everybody's beautiful. You're beautiful in your own way. No, you're not. You're not. You know what I mean?
I mean, you might be.
You might be, but like not everyone is beautiful.
No.
Let's just get real about that.
Yeah. And not all babies are cute too.
No.
We're going to talk about that in a minute as well. We've got some harsh truths, like we said. So a pretty face. Kel, do you want to talk about the pretty faces in the crowd?
Yeah. So a pretty face is going to earn you $230,000 more over your lifetime. In general, workers who are rated as attractive earn 10 to 15% more than their unattractive coworkers.
And this is throughout their entire career. So if you start off at that 10 to 15% and then you figure out the raises throughout your career, I don't know what that looks like at the end of the career, but it's got to be more than 10 to 15%, don't you think?
Right, yeah.
Beyond that, if you're good looking, you're more likely to be called back after a job interview. So if you're attractive, you've got on average, and you're applying for a job that you qualify for, you've got about a 72% chance of being called back for a second interview. If you are unattractive, you've got a 62% chance.
Right.
Sorry about your luck.
No, that's rough.
And you can't help it. Are you going to go get plastic surgery for that? And for what? Really? I don't think, I don't know. Some people might.
No, some people are just better looking than others. But that's the reason that you kind of have to pay attention to this other stuff. We all have to just work with what we have. I'm never going to be the prettiest girl in any room. That's probably not going to happen. But I can put it together.
Right.
I can make it nice.
You can show that you can put effort forth and look like you pulled it together.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always going to, I mean, that's the thing. There's always going to be somebody pretty. This isn't about like obsessing over your looks or judging your value on that. It's just about, we're all just working with what we got and trying to get from point A to point B. But it's like Matt Belisai says, we're all just trying to turn hard work into chicken nuggets over here.
It's true. Don't eat those chicken nuggets.
No.
Do not eat those chicken nuggets. It's just something to be aware of. I think it's really important to be aware of. You can't do anything about whether or not your face is pretty. No. Unless you want to go get plastic surgery. I do not judge people who go under the knife.
Not at all. You make your own life. It's your body. You do what you want to do with it. And whatever's going to make you feel good or is going to help you achieve your objectives, go get it, girl.
But you're going to have more success statistically if you are more attractive. If you weigh less, ladies. If you weigh more, men, there's no stats here on
I
men's
feel like that's got to fall off at some point with the men.
I have to think
you
so
would
too.
Assume.
Okay, so the cost of this beauty. Kelly, we've been getting mani-pedis because it's nice to look like you've got capable hands.
It is.
You know?
And people really notice. Actually, weirdly, men notice all the time.
Yep. That's a very nice manicure. I hear that all the time from dudes.
No, guys tell me how sexy my nails are, like unsolicited.
I'm just like, thanks.
And I'm just like,
nobody
okay,
asked
thanks.
for that.
No one asked for that, but thank you. Thank you very much.
I know.
Please get away from me.
Costs a lot of money to look this capable.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't make me any more or less capable. In fact, if anything, it makes me less capable because as my nails get longer, I can't type on my internet box as fast.
No, and then like you chip a nail, that's how you make fun of girls. You know what I mean? Like,
broken nail.
Broken nail. Listen, breaking a nail is a fucking tragedy.
No, and if you break through, you got to go back and get the whole thing fixed.
It's a total mess. And we do that. So we do a mani-pedi. You need to do it. If you're going to keep your shit tight, it's going to be twice a month. So that's 24 times a year. It's going to cost you about $70 after tip. Mm-hmm. Also, it's going to cost you 3 hours of your goddamn life every single time.
Yeah, you think you're going to be in and out of there in 2? You won't.
It's 3 hours. And it sucks. Like, we're ladies who do not have lots of time.
No, we really do not. It's a pain in the ass to work in, and you could do it at home. But are you going to do a gel mani at home or a dipping powder? You're not going to do a dipping powder mani at home.
No.
Which objectively is the best type of manicure you can get. If you can find a salon that does dipping powder, you can stop a train with your nails.
Mm-hmm. And you might be able to stretch that to 3 weeks. It's going to be more expensive, but you're going to save on the time side of it. Because the other thing is that when they're fucking with your nails, you can't really work during that time.
No.
You and I brainstorm sometimes. I'm actually learning to just enjoy that time as quiet me meditation time. Because that's literally all it's good for. But really, I might as well just light that time on fire. And I don't have a lot of time to light on fire. So that sucks.
Makeup and hair products. Going out in full drag every day isn't cheap. And there was a study done by the Skin Store. So they surveyed 3,000 women in the U.S. and found that the average lifetime spend on makeup, moisturizer, basically everything having to do with your face. And to be clear, this is not cosmetic procedures. This is not body lotion. This is not razors for shaving your legs, because there's a cost to hair removal,
right,
as well. But $300,000 over your lifetime, ladies, is what we're averaging.
And you know what's the real bitch about that is that what we were just talking about is that if you are that attractive people make $230,000 more a year than their less attractive
over their lifetime, not a year.
Yeah, sorry, over their lifetime. But those people are also probably spending at least the women are spending $300,000 on makeup. So they're still in the hole.
Yeah.
70 grand.
Yeah. But what if you didn't do that? You see, it's better to spend the money.
No, it's better to spend the money and just try to grift your way to the top, girl. Like that's really your best bet if you ever want to accumulate any kind of wealth.
God. It works out to, on average, women use 16 products per day on their face. Face wash, moisturizer. You got toner. And I was like, is that micellar water?
Yeah, no, I
don't even know what that is. You brought it into the house and I was like, girl.
Makes your pores pretty. I gotta have this. Listen, all I've got going for me is this porcelain skin, girl. Let me just protect that. All right.
I am just so happy. I've been SPFing since I was a child. Literally.
I'm so glad I didn't tan when I was younger. The girls that I see that are looking like the girls that when I was growing up would stay in the tanning beds look a full 10 years older right now, and that's rough.
That is rough
because that's how they were hot back then. I was pasty as fuck, and everybody used to like make fun of me for my white ass legs. Who's laughing now, bitch?
Listen, my mom.
Who's laughing now?
My mom, rest her soul, did a lot of nice things for me while she was alive. One of the best things she did was put a bottle of oil of Olay SPF moisturizer in my hands and say, use this every day.
You know what? I started at 16 too, not because of my mom, but my best friend in high school, Sam, her mom recommended at 16. She was like, all right, ladies.
It's time.
And she was right. Moisturization is everything.
SPF specifically, I think I started around 14, but I was out in California, so my mom had more of a sense of urgency about that communication. You know, my mom was the first person to tell me, Kari, I think you need to work out a little bit more. Is that cellulite I see? She said that to me.
Oh, man.
At like 18. And I was 119 pounds at the time.
Wow.
Got me out on a jog.
She's like, get out there, come on.
No, my mom was really honest with me in a way that I knew she didn't mean it in any kind of negative way. I knew that it was coming from a place of love. And like, listen, the cellulite thing made me cry a little bit because I was not a big girl.
No, my dad was the one who did that, not my mom. And
I think it's better coming from the mom.
No, it was actually really creepy and traumatic coming from my dad. Not that my dad ever did anything weird. It was just worse in every way coming from him. But he definitely tried to like have some talks with me.
About your weight?
Yeah. And I was just like, fuck you, Dad. That was how a lot of our conversations went, really.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's actually how a lot of my conversations with my father went as well. So again, ladies, I think that you should be having these conversations with your daughters. Don't leave it to your husbands.
Yeah, it's not good.
Haircut and dye. So it's more expensive for me. So you know I should be a natural blonde.
No, I know. Listen, Kari and I are both born with an affliction where we were both born in the bodies of brunettes, but that's not our true hair color.
You are a redhead to me. You will be until the day you die.
No, and you are such a blonde. I don't even, when I see pictures, you brought in a picture earlier today of you with brown hair. And I even knew you for a while when you had brown hair.
I know.
Like earlier on. And I was just like, I'm like, who the fuck is that? Oh, that's you. Like, all right, girl. And you look fine. You're still pretty. But it's just like, you're not, who is that? This is not my Gringa.
No. My Gringa's blonde. It's true. No, and so I'm blonde. In order to look like I might actually kind of be blonde-ish naturally, it costs a lot of upkeep. And it's more expensive to get your hair highlighted because you've got to go through that whole foil nonsense. You're in the chair. I get to the salon because you and I have been going to the salons together.
Right.
Kendra books the appointments for us at the same day, same salon. But I have to get there an hour and a half before you do so we can finish at the same time.
Right. And I still usually end up finishing before you.
I know. So all that they have to do for you is slap that red dye on your hair.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is with me too is that I can't stop this. This isn't just an option anymore. My hair is going gray at just an alarming rate. And my natural hair color is just not an option anymore. Because, well, I mean, it is. Listen, I could go natural. I could do it. But
you're not going to want to for reasons we're going to discuss later.
We're going to get into, because it really does age me prematurely, and the cost of that is more than I'm willing to pay. So I guess every 6 weeks I'm going to be shelling out $200.
Meanwhile, if my hair would just hurry up and go gray already, I have not found a gray hair yet. I look for them.
Girl.
No, but listen, if it went gray, then I could just be on your plan and have that shit dyed. I wouldn't have to sit through this foil nonsense.
Right.
It sucks. And then, so that's expensive. Every time I get my hair cut and dyed or colored, it costs me at least $200 pre-tip.
Yeah.
Because I can't go to a Supercuts and get this done. You do not want to get your hair bleached.
No, they'll fry your hair right off your head. It'd be really unfortunate.
And then if you want to get into the Botox and fillers.
I'm almost there, girl.
Well, I beat you to it. I can tell you exactly how much it costs. I've been doing Botox. I've done 2 rounds of Botox now.
It's inspiring. I know I'll do it because you look great.
Thank you. This time, I got into the fillers as well because the first dermatologist I went to, or I guess plastic surgeon, I don't know. It was at some skin clinic thing. So in New Hampshire, I went in and I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready for some Botox. I just want to try it. I know it goes away in like 3 months, and so it doesn't seem like a big commitment to me, but I'm starting to notice some fine lines, and it's a preventative measure. Let's just stop that right in its tracks.
Right.
So shoot my face up with some botulism, send me home, and I'll see what it looks like in 3 weeks. Let you know if I like it. Come back for more if I need it. And he was like, oh, you might really be interested in some fillers too. I think you should really. He told me, I think you should really get some fillers. And I was like, well, fuck you. But I'm already here and I'm not going to make another appointment. So you just shoot my face up with this botulism. I'm going to stomp on out of this place, never come back. And yeah, I got the fillers this time, and he was right. I should have gotten them.
They look great.
They do. So the second guy was like, are you sure you don't want some Juvederm? And I was like, okay, fine, I'll give it a shot. Because it goes away in like 3-4 months. If I don't like it, then if it gives me a raging case of chipmunk face, I'll just stay in my house for a while.
Right.
It looks great, though. I think I'm going to stay on the Botox and filler train. I'm just going to ride it.
No, you look totally great. So all of this is to say that
but that costs $1,200 4 times a year to stay up on that.
Yeah. So where we're going with all of this is that it costs as much as the cost of this, because ladies, you have to weigh this. What do you want? Because the cost of this is huge, and the upkeep is huge, and the time cost is huge. There's opportunity costs with all of this. Also, just like to point out that, number one, men really do make more than women.
Yes.
I know that there are all sorts of people out there, all sorts of, well, actually, dude bros who are going to slide in from the side to talk about how the wage gap is a myth because women take off more time for maternity and blah, 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 and over the lifetime, something. Okay. All right, whatever. You know what? Well, actually, dude, bro, I'm going to go ahead and give you that. Let's say you're right. Let's say that the wage gap is a total myth. It doesn't even fucking matter because I have to pay more money just to show up and be taken seriously.
And more time.
Right.
So it's unpaid labor that we're doing every time we go out in full drag or prepare to go out in full drag.
Right. And dudes, next time you take a lady out on a date, you better pick up that check, sir, because she spent this bitch just spent 3 hours and probably hundreds of dollars getting her shit right so that she could look cute for you on this date. And if you don't buy that dinner, fuck you.
Listen, I won't go that far. I will not go that far.
I'm never going Dutch ever again.
No, here's the thing. See, I have a different perspective on that. I don't like it when guys, especially when I'm first dating them, I don't like it when they pay for everything. It makes them feel entitled to my time. It makes them feel entitled to sex at the end of the night. Because go fuck yourself, man. I'm not going to do it. I don't like the implied exchange.
No, I hear you. Because the truth is
That's why I don't like guys buy me drinks at bars.
No, first date, I actually usually split.
I like to split the first date and then can
especially if it's like an online dating kind of thing or like I don't know that person super well. But dudes, just in general, like I'm just being a little extreme there, but like just understand the cost of what it costs a woman to go on a date with you.
Right.
It's expensive because she's going to get her nails done and she's going to do her makeup and she's going to have gotten her hair done. And like it really is expensive and time consuming for a woman to date.
Well, and you're just talking about dating. I'm talking about going to fucking work every day when you don't work at home. And you have to go and impress all these people? You have to go get ready for a job that you're already mentally ready to do, physically ready to do, but instead you need to spend an hour getting ready
because
to go
if
do
you
it.
don't, when you show up,
you're not going to get paid as much.
They're going to think you're not as competent. They're going to think you're not as trustworthy. And none of that is going to have anything to do with your actual competence or trustworthiness.
No, it's just your perceived competence and trustworthiness. And intelligence.
Right. And so if you're up against somebody who's has the same skill set as you and you do the same work and all of that, and like there's a promotion or like somebody's going to be up for that, probably the girl, if it's between two women, the woman who puts herself together every day is more than likely going to get that because she's going to be perceived as being more likable, competent, and trustworthy.
Yes. And ladies, how many times have you maybe just gone a little lighter on the makeup or maybe skipped the makeup altogether? And how many times have you been told, gosh, you look tired today?
Nothing makes me want to shoot someone in the face more than that. Well, no, being told to smile is slightly worse.
No, I'll take that. I'll take the smile over the you look tired because what the fuck do you know? I get real pissed. Maybe I got a full night's sleep last night. Maybe I just didn't want to drag up my eye makeup today.
Right.
Maybe I couldn't find my false eyelashes, so I look a little less awake than normal. But trust, I got a full 8 hours. I'm ready to do my job.
Right. Like, I'm sorry I didn't paint myself up like a excited cartoon deer today. I trust that I'm still ready to do my job. Thank you, though, for your concern.
Well, so I was just talking about the Botox and fillers. Mm-hmm. And Kelly and I like to say that we are in our mid to late 27s.
And I will stay there. They're going to have to drag me out of it.
At some point, I might upgrade to like my early 30s, but trust it's going to be when I'm in my late 30s. Mm-hmm. I'm not quite there yet, but I am in my 30s.
Yeah.
At 34, can I still say that I'm in my early 30s? I think I get that until 36. It's after half, right?
They're going to have to literally fight me. That's what they're going to have to do.
I still stay in my mid to late 27s, and I don't have my age on my Tinder profile.
Yeah, that's probably a good move, actually.
It is a good move.
For reasons that we'll get into.
Mm-hmm. And I can't remember if I have it on, can you hide your age on OkCupid? I just created one of those accounts.
I don't know. I've never tried to hide my age before. I'm only like...
You should really consider it. It really opens up your dating prospects, and then you can scam them later. You know, like, haha, I'm actually in my 30s.
I'd rather know off the bat if they're trying to date a baby.
Well, I don't think anybody's confusing me for one of the top most attractive ages, which, by the way, ladies, is 20 to 23 years old.
Yeah. Well, let's get into some of these stats so we can talk about that.
So the stats that we're pulling this from came from OkCupid. And so Christian Rudder is the co-founder of OkCupid. OkCupid has crazy stats. That's my favorite thing about OkCupid is just, all the data that they have. And they do cool things with it. So they ran this study, and this study ended up in a book called Dataclysm, Who We Are When We Think No One's Looking. And OkCupid analyzed all of the data for both men and women seeking men or women. And it turns out that the hottest ages to men are 20 to 23 years old. And so I'm just going to quote this real quick from the Jezebel article that Christian Rudder wrote relating to this study. But he said, women prefer someone roughly around their own age. Before 30, they're looking for slightly older men. Once they hit 30, they're interested in someone slightly younger. Throughout her 40s, a woman is most attracted to men right around the age of 40. If we want to pick the point where a man's sexual appeal has reached its limit, it's there and it's 40, Rudder notes. But even more cringeworthy, all men, from those in their 20s to those who are 50, want to date a woman in her early 20s. The most commonly chosen ages are 20 to 23. For almost every year in his 30s, a man is most attracted to a 20-year-old woman. And a 50-year-old man is really gunning for a 22-year-old.
It makes me want to die. It really does. Because you see it. We see it all the time.
We do see it. And our friends see it too, our single lady friends.
Yeah, when I was in my early 20s, I just thought I was like very maybe mature or something dating these older guys. But I don't think I was. I think this is just a thing that happens.
Well, I think that we're going to get into our own dating experiences related to this. Do you want to talk about how this is represented in Hollywood?
Yeah, so I mean, you see this all the time, right?
This is very infuriating for me.
Yeah, so women, early on in their careers, women tend to receive more movie roles than men. However, over time, this completely reverses. So at around 30 years old, a woman's The amount of roles that a woman gets just completely drops off. Basically, women peak at 30, and then it's just a real sharp decline after that. Men, however, reach their prime in terms of the amount of like movie roles that they get at 46, and it's a much slower drop off, and they don't get back down to the level that at which women are receiving roles until they are past 80
to 30. Hollywood rules over there. And it's sick when you look at these movies. You see how old is Daniel Craig,
right? How
old is the Miss James Bond,
right? How old is George Clooney? How old is Brad Pitt?
A lot older than their co-stars.
So much older.
How old is Ben Affleck? And the chicks that Bradley Cooper,
right?
And Jennifer Lawrence.
Let's act like that's not weird as fuck.
It is.
And you know what drives me nuts about this is that I really don't understand it. Because to me, what I'm really looking for, and Kari and I talk about this all the time, actually what we're both really looking for is a partner.
Yes.
I want somebody who can be in the trenches with me. I want it with somebody who I can actually build a life with. I want somebody who's on my level. I want somebody who is smart enough and financially stable enough and emotionally mature enough to form an actual relationship with me. That's what I would like. And all of the dudes, not all of them, but a vast majority of the dudes who fall into that category are trying to bang 22-year-olds.
Because they don't want a partner. What they want is a bang maid.
Yeah. It's so rough. It's so fucking brutal. And you know what? It's not good for these girls either. So when I was 22 years old, I was dating a 35-year-old. And it was actually probably about the most ideal situation that could have been, because he was not a creeper on any level. He was actually like the best guy I've ever dated. He was smoking hot. He was successful. He was incredibly good to me. He was just an idealistic dude who was kind of like saving himself for the right girl. And then I guess like gave up a little bit and hung out with me for a while. And I really did nothing but fuck that dude's life up. Like, he really had all his ducks in a row, and my ducks were running around, running rampant. My ducks were a mess.
Shitting all over his house.
Just ruining his life. Just constantly. I can't even imagine what that looked like or how he remembers that. But he treated me really, really well and was great. But and the problem was that I was not where he was. He was already established in his career. He was already beginning to experience some real success, as you do in your mid-30s. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He owned his house. He owned his car. He had the house that he wanted. He'll probably die in that house. He was on the path that he wanted to be on, and he's doing great work. He's still on that path. I see him back in my hometown. He's doing great. But for me to be with him at 22, I would have had to just say, fuck off to everything that I ever wanted. And let's be clear, at 22, I had no idea what the hell I wanted. But I would have had to just set up shop in his life. And I remember like really contemplating what that would look like. And it would have involved maybe going back to school and being a history teacher. He lived a couple blocks away from my old high school. Maybe I go back and I just think about that life, and there's nothing wrong with any of that, but none of that's what I wanted. And I would have, because he was already established, all kinds of things would have been chosen for me. I think it makes so much more sense to get to a place in your life where you are established,
right,
and have the things that you want, and then find somebody, and then look around who's on your level, who's doing the same stuff, because then you can come together and make a life together, and neither of you have to make some huge sacrifice to be together.
Right.
And that's I feel like the best that situation can go.
Yeah, I did not have as good of an experience with you. So let's take a little trip down my memory lane.
Yeah.
When I was 22, I was dating a 37-year-old, and I was going to school in Pittsburgh. I was working in Pittsburgh, and he lived in D.C., but he traveled a lot because he was a consultant. So we started dating, and he came into the bar where I was bartending at, across the street from the convention center.
Oh, I know that one.
Right?
I know that one. We used to go there.
It was a nice place.
Yeah.
And he quoted Ayn Rand at me and didn't even know that I was into that. And I was just like, well, obviously I have to throw my panties at you now. And I didn't, but eventually I did. And we dated for 1.5 years. And we would meet up in Pittsburgh, and we would meet up in DC, and sometimes we would meet up in other places too. He would fly me out there. And turns out, about a year and a half in, coincidentally, it was on the 1-year anniversary of my mother's death, I get a phone call from his wife.
Oh, I've gotten that phone call.
That was first time, only time.
It's a rough one.
Gotten the phone call from the wife, and I thought it was a joke. And I was just like, well, this isn't funny. This is like really not the best day to be fucking with me. Friend of a friend or something, because clearly this cannot be true. Because he would take me to this house that he had, but he had a second house that he was taking me to. Right. His wife was posted up at the first one.
Well, because clearly he didn't want a partner. He
wanted a bang maid.
He just wanted to bang some 22-year-old.
I didn't even have to do the maid part. He had a maid. But he led me to believe that it was this thing, this relationship that was going somewhere, and obviously it wasn't. Maybe he was going to leave her at some point. She was a little bit older than he was. So when he was 37, she was 40. And she must have gotten suspicious because she went through his email and found me.
Right.
Hey, it's your girl. And then she called me and let me know about it. And she didn't know that I didn't know that he was married. She called me to really give me a piece of her mind. And I was just like, well, this is not that scenario.
Right.
And then they ended up getting divorced. And then even years later, like 5 years later, dude like finds me on Facebook and is like, I live in Florida now. Do you want to come live with me? And I'm just like, no. Hard no on that. Block.
No. Well, no, because it freaks me out. It freaks me out because what are these dudes doing? I'm sure I was I was a smart girl, I guess. I was fun. But like at 22, I was not worth a single damn.
No, I look at how far I've come since then. Because I'm 34 now. So it's what, 12 years?
What does a 22-year-old really have to offer anybody?
Nothing. Student loans?
I was lucky if I was just wearing clean clothes and could put gas in my car.
And sometimes that was a struggle.
No, it was a real struggle.
I was trying to learn how to adult.
My life was nothing but a struggle at 22. Everything about it was hard. I could do nothing.
Oh, it was rough.
Who would want that?
It was rough.
Ugh.
And then, I mean, oh God, I have not had success with the older dudes. So more recently, I was dating a guy who is 50. Well, I'm going to put him in his early to mid 50s. Mm-hmm. And now he's dating a 25-year-old.
That lucky girl.
Yeah. Oh, she's in for a real treat.
So, I mean, it's hard because these guys, I think another reason that men look for younger ladies is because, like, if they got to a certain age and they don't have kids yet, they're looking for somebody to have kids with.
Or to not have kids with.
Right.
I think that I know that my dating pool has been expanded. I mean, it's limited. It's extremely, it's very limited. My dating pool. But in some ways, it expanded when I realized that I am never going to have children. I don't want them. It's like an active choice for me. And there are lots of guys who don't want to have kids and could never partner with somebody who wants that. And that's just like such a fundamental, it's a no-go, right? Yeah. If one partner wants kids and another partner doesn't, it's a real deal breaker.
No, I won't even date somebody who wants kids.
I won't either.
Because there's no point. It's a dead end. It's not happening.
So there's the kid thing. I think that kind of wraps it on the dating side. I don't mean to sound super bitter, but these numbers make me bitter.
Well, it's hard. I mean, and what it comes down to is that, like we've said, there are opportunity costs to all of these things. There's opportunity costs to putting yourself together every day. There's opportunity costs to not. But if you're like me and Carrie, which I think probably a lot of people are, and you're a lady in her mid to late 27s and you're looking at your career and what you want there, and you're looking at, you know, your romantic life and what you want there, these are just some harsh realities that you're going to have to grapple with. And whatever answer you come up with for you is a good one.
It is. It's the right one for you.
It's the right one. But just make sure that you're coming at it, that you're not just letting the direction of your life be like an accumulation of consequences. You want it to be something that you've actively chosen, and you want to go into it with all of the knowledge. And so
it's all about living intentionally. And part of living intentionally is educating yourself about the situation that you're in so that you can game that situation a little bit better. And so we've talked about weight and money. We've talked about attractiveness and money. We've talked about age and dating, but I think there's still one more harsh truth that's out there. I think some people probably drink too much.
Yeah, I think it's just such a huge, enormous part of our culture. And it's been normalized to such an extravagant degree that just really unhealthy behavior is just very fucking normal.
Do you remember how annoyed we were when we went out to that restaurant with Kate? And we ordered just like everything on the menu and then washed it down with 2 bottles of wine between 3 ladies, and they were horrified. This was in Medellin, Colombia.
Because that was just like casual Tuesday.
Yeah, well, that was the land of the jamón serrano, and we rolled in looking very jamón-y.
Very jamón-y, and we're just like, all your wine, please. Do you remember that one time we tried to get, this other time, Kari and I tried to get a bottle of wine at the dinner table, just the 2 of us, and she tried to sell us one of these half bottles because she was like, no, the full bottle is for 4 people. And I was like, I'll tell you how many people it's for. It's a single serving if I say it is, bitch. Like,
it was not a single serving, though. It's like we were going to have 2 glasses of wine and then go to bed.
But even that's a lot because, okay, so if you look up the stats for what's considered at-risk drinking, which is drinking that's going to affect your health. This is not an arbitrary number. This is the amount of alcohol that's actually going to put a strain on your body and create health risks for you. And for men, it's more than 4 drinks on any day or 14 in a week.
So if you're drinking 2 beers per night, it's an at-risk drinking habit. Men.
Yeah. And for women, anything more than 3 drinks on any day or 7 per week is considered at-risk drinking.
7 per week. We've really cut back our drinking this year.
I really have.
That's been a huge part of the weight loss also, just in getting healthier.
Because you cannot lose weight and drink. It's just... It cannot be done.
No. I guess it can be, but God, what's that lifestyle look like?
I can't even imagine.
I'd just rather not.
No, just ditch the booze.
It's just easier to ditch the booze. But God, 7 drinks a week, that's 1 glass of wine a day.
And listen, I come from the Midwest, and the majority of the people that I'm hanging out with are ladies in their 30s and 40s. And let me just tell you that I don't know any of those jamones who drink less than that.
Yeah.
And granted, you know, I'm self-selecting because I'm going out to bars or whatever. Those are my friends. But the most put together professional ladies that I know almost all drink more than that.
Yeah, I would say so. And there are a lot of people I know or I have known over the years who drink a lot more than that. And so,
yeah,
I mean,
it's just 3 drinks unless you're like a very tiny lady. Like a real tiny lady, 3 drinks and like over a few hours with friends, you're probably not even drunk.
No,
you know
I could catch a buzz on 3 drinks though. No.
Oh yeah, no, you'll catch a buzz. You're not like fall down drunk. And 7 in a week, that's not. Nobody's gonna look at you and be like, "Come on, I think you have a problem."
7 a week? No. But if you double that, triple that, I mean, I have over the years known people who have maybe started at just the 7 per week, and then it's crept up to 21 per week, or God even knows how much. How many bottles are flying out on recycling day. But what I've noticed is that as people start to spiral downward, I think this is also true of weight. As people start to spiral downward, maybe they're gaining weight, maybe you see that they're drinking a lot, you know, maybe they drive home from that dinner and you don't think that they should. Maybe that's not the best idea. How often have I seen somebody say, "Are you sure you're okay to drive?" And then somebody's like, "Yeah, I'm fine."
And then they just do it.
And then they just do it. And I'm like, well, that's not okay with me anymore. You know, and now I'll really put my foot down in those kind of situations. But that's more of a consequence-based thing. I mean, in that kind of drunk driving situation, you could be introducing innocent bystanders into that mix.
Yeah, you can literally kill somebody or yourself.
But just talking about caring about your friends and caring about the people that are in your lives or in our lives, if you see a friend who's really starting to become a real booze hound, and you know everyone talks about it behind their backs because you hear them say, "Hey, God, that person's drinking a lot."
They always do. And the only thing that's worse than that is when nobody's saying it because they're all doing it too.
Right.
And it's just normal. Something that I've noticed and something that I've heard from a lot of other women is that there are certain people who I don't know if I've ever hung out with them without drinking. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have friends like that too. I've been working on that.
No, I have too, because it's just such a large part of socializing in our culture. Like, if you're going to go out with your girlfriends, like, what are you going to do? Probably you're going to go out and drink some wine is what you're going to do. You're going to go out, you're going to have margaritas, you're going to...
Maybe you might paint while you do it.
Right, you know, to make it seem like it's classy or some shit. You know, but like, really, you're just drinking.
You don't want that art hanging on your wall.
Yeah, what do you do? It's...
Well, you have a conversation and say, hey, at least I'm noticing it. Because I think that, I mean, I know that this has been true of myself, so I'm just going to speak about myself in this instance. I had gained some weight. I've lost 20 pounds on this trip. I gained that 20 pounds at some point. And honestly, I could lose another 10. Mm-hmm. And at no point as I was getting bigger, did anybody ever say to me, are you okay? Because do you need to get your thyroid checked or something, maybe?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Or like even my boyfriend at the time.
Yeah.
Even my boyfriend at the time. It was, oh God, I'll never forget it. I stepped on a scale because I like to like just ignore that it existed.
Right.
And then one day I got real brave.
Right.
She's like, well, let me just see what this situation's like.
just gather my strength about me.
I was feeling really skinny that day, and I'm like, oh, I bet you it's not even going to be. It was that bad. And so I came out of the bathroom, and I talked to my boyfriend, and I was just like, so were you going to tell me that I was becoming a chunky little monkey over here? And he was just like, you're a little chunky monkey. And I'm like, well, okay, but I had to bring it up first. And he was like, well, I thought that you might have noticed, except for when you look at yourself in the mirror every day, it kind of creeps up on you sometimes. And unless you're stepping on that scale every day, you're not going to see the creep until you've got 20 pounds on your ass that suddenly you need to lose.
No, I have lost 70 pounds and I have a ways to go still. And just to give you an idea, and I didn't really see it. I gained over the last couple of years like 50 of that, and it happened pretty quickly, and I kind of felt like I looked the same mostly, you know?
Right.
It's really easy.
I felt the same too. I felt the same. I felt the same on the inside. I hear like 70-year-olds say that I feel like I'm 24. I just can't move as fast.
Right.
It's kind of how I felt. I just couldn't fit into my skinny jeans quite the same way.
Right. And I've been on the road, so people haven't seen me. And I'll send pictures back home, like, look at your girl. And partly I take the pictures to look at them for myself, to like compare, because I'm trying. Because the truth is, everyone's like, oh my gosh, you must feel so great. And I'm like, I don't really feel any different.
Right.
Listen, your girl's a little more sprightly on her feet.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a little more limber.
But
I can downward dog a little harder now.
Right, but I don't feel significantly different. It's weird. It's weird how you can let that get away from you. And sometimes you really do need that outside. I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard thing to bring up with somebody. And there's a real good chance they're not going to thank you for it, actually.
Right. There is, but I think that it's still worth saying. It's worth, and you can judge your own friendships. I would like to have the type of open, honest relationships with my friends to where somebody could say something like that to me and know that I'm not, even if I'm less than thrilled with it in the moment, I'm not going to bite their head off for it, and it's not going to be something that ends the friendship and that I can't get over. I think that it's worth pointing out that you notice some things. Because some people might think that it's not being noticed. I think that this is especially true of alcohol.
Yeah.
So in November and December, it was a really, really, really stressful time for me. Oh, it was a really hard time. Because I had broken up with my boyfriend. I had organized all of my shit-ish and then put it into a storage facility. I was living with friends.
Yeah.
I was like, I was not couch surfing. I was in a spare bedroom and like paying rent and everything. But it was almost kind of like backsliding into college-ish for me.
Because that was the time right before we left, when you and I were constantly calling each other and being like, is this a spiral?
Yeah,
Are we spiraling?
I had no idea. And so, to ease some of that pain, I started drinking a little more than I was before. And it never impacted my work. But like, it was something that you and I both wanted to talk about and handle when we started workationing.
Right.
Just how about if we just cut back on the drinking, because it was starting to get a little bit much. And I think that that's where part of my weight gain, I know that that's where part of my weight gain came from too. But I know that friends had noticed it because I wasn't drinking that way before.
Right.
And it was a stressful time. And I'm not blaming anybody for not saying. And actually, there was a friend who did say something to me. And that's what kind of kicked this whole thing off for me. And I will be forever grateful to that friend just for noticing, for like caring enough to say something.
Yeah, because I know that I was definitely drinking more too, and I'd gained a ton of weight. And like I said before, I didn't make it easy for anybody to say anything to me. But there is like when you see somebody really struggling, like all of that stuff is never happening in a vacuum. You're not just gaining weight, or you're not just drinking too much. All of it is always a symptom of something larger. And so maybe the best way to approach somebody in that situation is more to be like, are you okay? Because I think that was the thing that was probably the hardest for me about it once I really started to realize where I was. God, I was really, really struggling. And at no point did anyone ever come to me and be like, girl, are you all right? Because you know what? I wasn't okay.
Would you have told them that if they asked?
Yeah, I think that I would have. The one time I had an honest conversation, it was initiated by me. But it was talking to my mom before I left. I think that she was having a really hard time understanding this and why I wanted to do it. And
workationing?
Yeah. And I said to her, listen, like, let's get real. I've gained an insane amount of weight. I'm drinking too much. I'm really depressed. I'm bored out of my mind. I'm really deeply unhappy. I'm stagnating. If I don't find something to shake this up and to get myself out of this like really, really deep funk that I've gotten myself into, I'm going to die. It's not going to be tomorrow. It's going to be a long, slow, very sad slide into the grave.
Mm-hmm.
But like I needed to really shake things up to that extent. And that was probably the only time I'd really had an honest conversation with anybody about it. And it was literally because I was just begging her to understand so that I could, I didn't want, I already lost my dad. I'm aware that my mom's getting older and that like I have a limited amount of time with her, and I know that it's hurtful to her in some ways that I've done this, that like because I'm not around, and I like really needed her to understand that I had to do this.
Right.
And I think that, and only from that place of desperation did I finally like say the words, and I remember like sobbing as I said them because I hadn't even like said them to myself in my head yet. Like I had this weird instinct I needed to do this and whatever, but it wasn't until I was cornered and that I finally said it. I don't know. It's tough.
It was tough. For me, this was kind of born out of the realization that I didn't want to stay where I was at. Well, where do you want to go next? I don't really know. So let me go see what, I guess, some other places are like, catch my breath, and get some time to really focus on myself, because I really want to make the most out of my life and my capabilities, and I want to realize my potential. I don't think that there's anything sadder than wasted potential.
Yeah.
To me, wasted potential is just the worst. And I didn't want that for myself. And going back to when you were talking about when you were 22 and dating the 35-year-old, and you felt that he had this house that he was going to die in, and you were moving into it, and you were going to have to move into his life.
Right.
I very much felt that way, but I want my own life. I do want a partner too. I just want a partner who can blend his life with mine in a way that it doesn't seem like one is taking over the other.
Yeah, you can choose it together.
I would really like that. There's nothing that I want more than that. And I didn't have that, and that was not going to be made available to me.
Right.
And that was very sad.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And going back to what you said about wasted potential, I think that that's a great way actually for us to sum this all up, is that we hate this. I am not the kind of girl who likes to go to the nail salon and get her nails done. I don't like having to deal with my hair all the time. I really don't like doing my makeup every day. I really get pissed when I am forced to get out of my yoga pants and into something with a non-elastic waistband. It's a real fucking bummer to me. That's not who I am on just a cellular level. However, looking at the realities of the situation and what I want out of my career, and the fact that I still would like to find a partner who can be like an actual partner to me, I am looking at the realities of all of this, and I'm choosing to spend a fuck ton of time and money doing things that I don't really want to do because I think that they're my best hope at getting the things that I do want. And I'm in no way, and I don't think you are either, saying that everyone needs to do this. But just make sure you're choosing. Just make sure that whatever you choose, it's because you've fucking chosen it. And to my girls out there, I know there's one chick I know who is going all of this summer with no makeup, and she's posting all these selfies and on Insta, and girl looks great. And I'm just like, yes, girl, and I applaud her and all of that. You know what I mean? But like, homegirl's married. You know what I mean? First of goddamn all.
First of goddamn all, she's married.
It's all about your choices. And like you said, your mileage may vary and your goals are going to vary. But I know for what I want, I think I've got to do this shit.
But I think it's really important to have an objective look at the playing field, so to speak, in terms of what does every move get you?
Right.
What does it get you in the long run to put that fucking makeup on? And get your eyebrows waxed because they're looking a little crazy lately. What does it get you in the long run to watch your weight?
Right.
But besides just a healthier life, and you're probably going to live longer. Probably going to be able to do a lot more.
Right.
Like, what does it look like when you're drinking too much? And what is the opportunity cost of that? And wasted potential?
Yeah.
How can you keep yourself from wasting potential?
Exactly. Because what it comes down to is that I know that a lot of the stuff that we're talking about probably sounds shallow. And I hear that. We get that feedback sometimes.
Listen, I have been working from home in yoga pants, no makeup, top knot, cat hair.
Right.
For like the last 7 years.
Yeah, it's a good life. I like it.
I don't mind it, except for you can't be in glamour looking like that.
No. And so basically, we just want everyone, what we want for all of you and for all
of the listeners,
all the hormones out there.
The hormones.
We just want you to live your best life, and I think that just comes with deciding what that life is and engineering it in the way that you would like it to happen.
And we're by no means experts. We're still trying to figure it out ourselves, but there are some common themes that we've run into, and these are a lot of them. And we've talked to a lot of our friends about these things, and they have also encountered the same struggles and recognized the same difficulties. And it's just, I think it's worth looking at. I think it's worth critically thinking about, and then plotting your next moves and how you live your life and what you make yourself look like when you leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
It's just worth considering all of that.
Yep. You do you, Gringa. You just make sure you're doing it the way you want.
Was this the most depressing episode of all time?
God, I mean, I'm ready.
Was it kind of funny?
I mean,
I don't think so. I don't know.
Is it a dark comedy?
Like laughing through the tears over here.
I don't know, man. It's rough. But anyways, I think we did it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go close down my OkCupid account.
Yeah, just
don't need that anymore. See if I can hide that age.
All right.
I'll get you some Botox and fillers. I got a guy.
It's going to be great. This has been another episode of the Workationing Podcast. If you like what you've heard here, please consider donating at patreon.com/workationing. That's patreon.com. All proceeds will go towards funding our bucket list items.
To keep up with us in real time, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at Workationing. Or on our website at, you guessed it, workationing.com. That's workationing.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode.
This moth doesn't get the fuck out.
Desposito. Na 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 na. Eat burritos.
That's not. There's no burritos in the
There
song.
is no burritos.
There's no burritos.
Try burrito, baby.
No, no. It's not what they're saying. It's favorito, baby.
I was wondering why a Mexican place hadn't co-opted that song and been like, try burritos, baby.
Why are they
burritos?
saying, what do you think that song is about?
I don't know. I thought a burrito was a euphemism for maybe his schlong.
No. No.